Barca to take Spurs record signing. Jesus to Juve could be on. Neuer has London calling. The first English football leagues are cancelled and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host, Matt Froelich. You are the Onefootballers and this is the Daily News. So first off, and apparently Barcelona are looking at taking Spurs record signing Tanguy Ndombele at the end of the season. It's fair to say that the record signing for around £55 million last summer hasn't exactly adapted well to the Premier League. Under Mauricio Pochettino, it was clear that he was willing to give Ndombele a chance and really had high hopes for him. Under Jose Mourinho, he just wants to call him out at every press conference possible. Things really came to a head between the player and the manager after Ndombele was taken off at half-time in the draw against Burnley. Mourinho basically called him out at the end of the match for saying he's not producing enough and it looks like he's not really fit enough. When you take all of this into account, I have no idea why Barcelona would possibly want him. Like, they've been tracking him for the last few years, as were apparently City and Spurs as well, who eventually got him. And it's clear that on the ball, he is an extraordinarily talented footballer. But when you think of Barcelona, you think of quick football, you think of dynamic midfielders who can get about the pitch, and Ndombele definitely doesn't seem to be one of them. Sure, if he does get ridiculously fit over the upcoming months, which he should do, then by all means I think Barca will sign him. But I really can't see Spurs letting him go, and in this current state, I can't see why any top team would want to sign him. What it does mean though is that Mourinho will have to put up with him for a little while longer, and if somehow Spurs can get him into much better shape, they will definitely have an incredible player on their hands. Alongside this, they've also entered talks into giving Oliver Skip, the 19-year-old, a brand new contract as well. And if you want to know just how this season will affect the likes of Spurs and a few others with it being delayed, you can click here to check out the video that we put out yesterday talking about loads of clubs who will benefit and the players who can come back from injury within the next few months. But moving on and revisiting a transfer rumour that we actually spoke about earlier in the week, I put it at the end of the Daily News about Gabriel Jesus potentially moving to Juventus, and it looks like this one might have legs. That's because the Brazilian's agent has said they're talking about a great footballer, way to sort of big up your client, and a great football club in Juventus, and anything is possible. Now, apparently the move would only happen if Manchester City do not want the striker anymore, and there were some further comments from his agent which I found rather interesting. He said that he's convinced City want him to stay as long as the club have the same ambition and maintain the same kind of profile. Now, I'm probably just trying to read in between the lines here, there's something that's not there, but maintaining the same level of profile pretty much means that if they stay at the club that they are now, basically in the Champions League, fighting for the Champions League. If they're not, I'm pretty sure that Gabriel Jesus and a few other players will definitely be on the phone to their agents wanting to leave. City obviously is out of their hands when it comes to their potential 2-year ban in the Champions League, but if they can't get it, I'm sure there'll be a few players basically split into two categories. You'll either be young enough where you can get a massive move and loads of teams still want you and you can move to another Champions League side, like Juventus for example, or you're coming towards the end of your career, maybe not end, but certainly into your 30s, like Sergio Aguero, where you may only have a few seasons left to win the Champions League, in which case you want to move as well. Anyway, things are obviously going to get a bit sticky for City, but I think returning to football is probably the most important thing in the football schedule right now. Anyway, talking of big transfers and another one that we've spoken about earlier in the week, Manuel Neuer leaving Bayern Munich. So he wants to stay at the club because he absolutely loves the club and he's a legend there, but on the flip side, he is not happy with the length of contract that they are currently offering him. There were rumours that Marc-Andre ter Stegen was going to be moving to Bayern, but I think that was nothing more than just a rumour. Basically, this is all stemming from the fact that Schalke goalkeeper Alexander Nübel is moving to Bayern in the summer. He literally is the heir to Manuel Neuer's throne, both at Bayern and in the German national team. Neuer obviously is very happy with this, and with the fact that his contract runs out next summer, he's looking for a bit of comfort, and he's trying to figure out whether or not he'll still have a contract as a Bayern player beyond the end of next season. So if they're not willing to offer him a long enough deal, Chelsea and Frank Lampard are apparently willing to step in. So we all know about Chelsea's problems with Kepa. It's not even Frank Lampard's problem with Kepa. It stretches back to last season when the world record signing for a goalkeeper decided to completely disobey Maurizio Sarri in the League Cup final and basically had a massive go at him for trying to bring him off. Anyway, this season, especially in the last few months, Kepa's been dropped for Willy Caballero. I've mentioned it before, like, if you're dropping your goalkeeper and you want to show him a lesson because he's out of form, he's playing poorly, and he's got the worst record for shots faced to shots saved in the Premier League this season, at least bring in a good goalkeeper. It's even more embarrassing that they're swapping Kepa out for Caballero, who also is actually out of contract in the summer. Anyway, it's clear that Lampard and Chelsea would be happy to get rid of him, even though they know they're not going to make back the extortionate amount of money that they paid for him. I think around £70 million. If this does happen though, the reason why Neuer would actually be a good signing on the flip side to selling Kepa is that they'll probably have to pay a really small transfer fee for him. No one's going to be charging a ridiculous fee for a 33-year-old goalkeeper, even if he is one of the best in the world. This also means that Chelsea will have a lot of money spare to offer him a bumper contract for quite a few years, something that Neuer is obviously angling for. So next up are to the first football leagues in England that have been cancelled due to the coronavirus. Now, the EFL clubs, the National League and the North and South, which are the two leagues below the National League, have all been told that football won't be returning by April 30th and that ongoing discussions will be held as to when the football can return. But the leagues below those leagues are all cancelled. This means that all the results don't count, the goal scorers don't count, there'll be no promotion, no relegation, and everything's just ground to a halt. I mean, obviously the players will get a big rest in the pre-season, but that is not what they want at that level. The thing is that the lower leagues of English football, money is so scarce and it is such a danger for the football to be called off for so long. Obviously, it's completely understandable with the current health of the world, but it's going to be very difficult times, and the fact that the National League hasn't been called off, well, it's because it has a big impact on the Football League. As I'm sure you are all aware, there are two teams that get relegated from League 2 and two teams that get promoted from the National League. Now, for those guys getting promoted from the National League, this is an enormous opportunity to not only get a little bit of the money that is on offer, but to also bring in new players and elevate the club's status. I mean, there's two kind of teams in the National League that are really pushing for promotion. You got the guys who have been there before, the likes of Yeovil and Notts County, who are looking to bounce back into professional football in England, but it's also an even bigger opportunity for the likes of Harrogate Town and Boreham Wood. Neither of those sides have been in League 2 before, and it would be a massive boost to the clubs if they could make it in there. Of course, on top of this, at the level of football, it's very rare that you get a player who's on a contract for more than the season, and a lot of loan deals are done from bigger clubs. Of course, if the season runs beyond June 30th, it's absolutely fine for players in the Premier League to be without a club, or for Premier League club to lose a few players, even though it's probably not going to happen. But in the lower leagues, it's a little bit more difficult, so you can expect some upcoming news on this in the next few weeks. And for those of you who have no idea what football I'm talking about in the National League, or who Boreham Wood even are, make sure you do some more reading, because there's loads of time in quarantine to check out the history of loads of football clubs in England. On top of this as well, the FA have also said, as well as cancelling a few of those lower leagues, that they are looking into all options to finish this season's FA Cup, even playing the final as late as September. So lastly but not least, a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news, where Sporting Lisbon, West Ham, Hertha Berlin and Anderlecht are all interested in taking Liverpool's on-loan goalkeeper Loris Karius. He is currently with Besiktas in Turkey. Elsewhere, and Lazio want to offer top goal scorer Ciro Immobile a new deal until 2025. Pedro has said he will be leaving Chelsea at the end of the season when his contract expires, and in an attempt to stop Odion Ighalo joining Manchester United on a permanent deal, his Chinese club Shanghai Shenhua have offered him a new 2-year extension with wages over £400,000 per week. So there you have it, that is all from me today. Make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about all of the transfer news and the rest of today's daily news. Whilst you're at it, smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, stay safe, wash your hands, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday.